Do me a favor, some of you. I mean, just I mean, you don't have to go on the page on the Facebook page, but I'm gonna leave a link of my Boxing Beats and Ryan's Facebook page. I just need a couple of you to hit it up, man. You know what I mean? It's kind of bare. I ain't got no members there, man. So you know what I mean, help a brother out. Fuck. I digress. Let's move on. Derek Chisora has been reissued with a new British Boxing Board of Control license today. Chisora will make his return to the ring on Saturday the 20th of April at Wembley Arena in a 10-round international contest against a still-to-be-announced opponent. Nathan Cleverley's on the same bill. Derek, not surprisingly, is thrilled at the news and is keen to play his trade again in Great Britain. What this means, really, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure what was the difference in trading on his Luxembourg license from his British license. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was just to appease Frank Warren, really, and keep him in favour with the board by not letting him continue to fight on the Luxembourg license. But that's just my opinion. I don't think Warren really wanted to be some rebellious-looking type against the establishment, you know. He made the little one breakaway move with the Hay and Chisora fight at Upton Park, but I don't think he wanted to continue that trend, you know. Because it's wise not to make any more enemies than what you have to when you're in any kind of business, whether you're a small business or a bigger venture. It doesn't really matter. And more importantly, as pointed out by one of my co-collaborators, the main co-collaborator, Errol Jarrett, is he lost against Hay. I mean, you see, winning is everything. Well, I mean, when you're winning, you can write the checks. You can write a check with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you can just throw zeros on the end of it, baby, when you're winning. But you lost, so you know what I mean? They had to get the old groveling bowl out. You get me? Another point that Errol reminded me of today was after Michael Watson had his bad injury in the WBO middleweight title fight against Chris Eubanks, and the board had to shell out a whole load of compensation for the incompetence in dealing with Michael's injuries. Frank Warren was very, let's say, generous, very kind to the board, because they was in financial dire straits. And they still are. 20 years later on, 22 odd years later on. They're still not recovered from them bombshell there. I mean, they still ain't recovered. So, you know, Frank had a few favors that he probably could have called in when Derek had his license took from him. When was it? In 2011. He probably could have called it in then. But, you know, Frank's savvy. I mean, he probably said, I mean, yeah, all right, fuck that. I mean, it's got Ricky Burns, got George Groves, got fucking David Price, let Derek sweat it out. But, you know, Frank's in the doo-doo right now, you know what I'm saying? So right now, I'm up for calling them few of them right now, you know what I mean? He's in doo-doo. So, you know, that's another point. That's another potential factor in today's developments. Okay, so about this new development, you know what I mean? There's a few questions we need to ask, like, what is Derek's mind state going to be in? He's been out of the ring for nearly a year or so. Must be at least a year. And when we saw him at a recent press conference, when Ricky Burns was supposedly fighting Vasquez, it didn't look like his BMI was the same. It looked a bit smaller, you know. But maybe Frank Warren will give him a little allowance so he can buy some proper chicken. No, just joking. Just joking. You know. Chisora remains an enigma in the game. Not because he's so much a feared world title contender. Not so much because of his skill set. But because of his gameness, you know, his durability, well, apart from the Hay fight, and his ear-catching comments. The most popular out of them is, "You glassed me." I don't think they're going to put him in with a killer straight away. That's not going to happen. But, you know, if he gets through this, a David Price fight could well be on the horizons. Tyson Fury, obviously. Maybe a rematch, although Fury already beat him. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I have a feeling that after Frank Warren recently lost a shitload of money on the Box Nation venture, did lose money. And John Rawling, I think, was it John Rawling who said? I can't remember. Someone said they lost money. They lost a few mil, maybe a couple of mil. That's a loss. And then the Box Nation promoted David Price. Although promoted by Frank Maloney, Frank Warren's got a lot invested in David Price. And we saw the Tony Thompson fight, And although it's not a new thing for fighters to walk out on Frank Warren, George Groves and Ricky Burns in rapid succession. And last year he lost DeGale, Tony Bellew, and I think a few others. I have a feeling in the wake of all that, Frank made an extra effort and groveled to the board, or, he said, look, man, throw me a bone. I was sinking in this bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. And you see, people have to be careful they don't get what they ask for sometimes. Don't let your hatred and some of the things you see happen, like Warren losing all his fighters, don't let that shit sort of like corrupt you. I want to see him out the game. I want to see him broken penniless. Look, man, Frank Warren's been doing what he's been doing from the 80s. He come from unlicensed boxing. Mickey Duff told him to get on the legal side of things, get a proper promoter's license and do this shit right. And yeah, Frank has a lot of enemies. People don't like him. I make dismissive comments. But let's get it right. The reason the board did this, it was a business decision, yeah? It's not in their best interest. And actually, it's not in your interest as a British boxing fan or as a worldwide boxing fan to see promoters like Frank just get run out of the game. It's not really in your interest because despite what you think, Frank has gathered a certain amount of expertise. He's guided a lot of fighters into world championships and he's put on some good fights too. It's the same like when Bernard Hopkins said he was going to put Don King out of business. Bernard, you got to be careful, with that shit there. You got to be a little careful because do you know who the fuck you're talking to? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You know what I mean? Like, without Don King, man, like he was the first to give two non-heavyweights multi-million purses. That was Hearns and Leonard. He was the first promoter to give two boxers, period, $1 million purses. That was Frazier and Ali, right? He also holds the record for the most people to attend a fight ever. I think it was Julio Cesar Chavez against Greg Haugen. You know what I mean? And lots of unprecedented landmarks he built over the years. Like, he was the first to build his own television network and a lot more other shit. And like 78 and Blood pointed out, he's done unification tournaments. Don King is a legend, yeah? We know, we say we know. We hear the stories, and I think some of them are true. You know what I mean? He's done some unscrupulous things. But you know what I mean? But let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Boxing's a hard game, and it's not for no pussy guys to come do promoting. If you're a pussy in that, and you're nice and all that, you won't last a second, mate. All right? Don came from racketeering, and yeah, he murked a couple of people. But let me tell you this, you need a strong constitution to go in there and bat. Yeah? Or you come out of there with no shirt. So be careful what you ask for, you know what I mean? That's why the British Board of Control gave Frank his license back, because they don't want one of their top promoters to be stumbling all around the place. It's not in their interest, and it's not in the fighter's interest, because he's got a lot of fighters at Box Nation. Yeah? And not only the fighters on the roster, what about the up-and-coming fighters? Who are they going to go to if all the promoters just, get fucked over and can't trade as efficiently as they once did so before? So, there was a lot of motivations for Derek to get his license back on the behalf of the board. As far as British boxing is concerned, not for everybody. I think Bob Mee and a few others will not be best pleased that Chisora's getting back his license. You know, I think they wanted him banned for life, which is unfair, really. What other job do you do where you get into a fight and you're not allowed to apply your trade anywhere again? You know? I mean, guys like Joey Barton, who's a football player, he fights every week and he's still plying his trade for Paris Saint-Germain. He's playing in the Premier League and, you know, no one's batted an eyelid. So, Derek has to walk carefully in terms of his behavior and his conduct, because more than Derek, Frank Warren would have been told by the board that, yo, Frank, we're going out on a limb for you here, son. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Keep your boy in check. Keep him in check. But what can Frank do, really, if Derek gets a sudden rush of blood to the head? You know what I mean? I'll shoot him! I'll shoot him! You know? But, maybe Derek's grown up. Who knows? Maybe Derek's grown up in the time that he's lost his license. Maybe he's had time to reflect. And we shall see.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah, you ready to get recorded now, yeah, for the interview?
Yes, man. Come on, man. Stop playing, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to fight.
Is there anything you want to tell the public out there? I am the greatest. Right, left, you're toothless, and then you say, God damn it.
You got knocked the fuck out, man. Get knocked out. Damn.
Word is born, I'ma smoke 'em. Yo, don't make no move. I can treat it like boxing. Stick and move, nigga.
Left, right, left, right, left, left, right. And he was out for the night.
You know we need that trademark bark before you depart from our company, man. You know what I mean? Can we get the barking and we're gonna need that bark, you know what I mean?
Oh, man. Jesus for life, fellas. Dog is coming.
I don't care if he knocked me down or it's ready to go with him. Whatever you want to do, I'm gonna match him. All the way, mate, all the way. Now you might start believing in the Dark Destroyer.
Watching beats and rhymes, watching beats and rhymes.
I got knowledge, another sucker's lacking.
I don't know if you want to answer. Possible Manny Pacquiao fight with Floyd Mayweather. How you feel about that?
Well, basically, I mean, it's a fight that still has the potential to happen.
I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me.
Watching beats and rhymes, watching beats and rhymes, watching beats and rhymes, watching beats and rhymes.